I thought the earth remembered me. She took me back so tenderly, arranging her dark skirts, her pockets full of lichens and seeds. I slept as never before, a stone on the riverbed, nothing between me and the white fire of the stars but my thoughts, and they floated light as moths among the branches of the perfect trees. All night I heard the small kingdoms breathing around me, the insects and the birds who do their work in the darkness. All night I rose and fell as if in water, grappling with a luminous doom. By morning, I had vanished at least 12 times into something better.
This video serves to explain how Mary Oliver uses various poetic devices in her poem, Sleeping in the Forest, in order to convey her ideas and her attitude towards the connection between nature and mankind. Mary Oliver was born on September 10, 1935, and lived her childhood in the small town of Maple Heights, Ohio. The wide expanses of forest and nature serves as the premise for much of her writing. When she's not diligently writing, she spends her time walking and reading outside, but even as she walks, she jots down notes in a small 3x5-inch notebook she made herself. In fact, she once hid pencils in all of the trees, so as to be prepared whenever inspiration struck. These short thoughts and observations often became lines in her poetry. The main themes of her writing always tie back into nature and the intersection between human and the natural world. Her poetry stretches how far the human consciousness and language can articulate that connection. In her poem Sleeping in the Forest, many of the elements connect mankind with nature. The title alone evokes feelings of self-reflection and complacency. A forest is usually tied to nature, and sleeping is tied to dreams and deep thinking. Her poem starts with, "I thought the earth remembered me." This personification of nature ties into the idea of human connection, especially the maternal bond between mother and child. The sense of belonging transitions seamlessly into a detailed imagery of green forest floor full of lichen and seeds, while establishing a serene, reflective, and contemplative tone. Mary Oliver uses similes and metaphors, such as sleeping like a stone on the riverbed. Her thoughts do not merely exist, but float light as moths, as bright and as numerous as the stars in the night sky. These connect thoughts and the mind to nature and life, emphasizing still the relationship between nature and humans. The author's theme is humanity's proximity to nature and the need to feel connected with the natural world. She poses sleep as a form of escape from reality, and nature as a channel to enhance sleep. When we sleep, we power down our bodies and focus on the mind. Thinking about our relationship with nature and what nature itself provides provokes deeper thinking and offers perspective about the complexities of life, dreams, and death. Oliver uses enjambment and often starts the beginning of a new phrase on the previous line, creating a pattern of irregularity and conveying a story-like voice rather than strict pose. In an interview, she says,
"It's easier for people to remember. People are more apt to remember a poem and therefore feel they own it,
Right.
and can speak it to themselves, as you might a prayer. Then they can remember a chapter and quote it. And that's very important, because then it belongs to you. You have it when you need it. But poetry is is certainly closer to singing than prose.
The whole time, she uses the personal pronoun I to draw the reader into the world itself, so they can place themselves into the poem and share the experience captured by Oliver's writing. All throughout the night, she hears these sounds of life all around her, ranging from insects to birds. All night, I heard the small kingdoms breathing around me. The narrator describes nature as with its own social hierarchy and kingdom-like organization. This draws a parallel to humanity in some ways, a complex and busy, but more quiet, more peaceful, and easier to notice the smaller details of life. The repetitive nature of the following two sentences, beginning with all night, highlights the interactions within nature and between nature and man. While her first observation is of the small kingdoms, the second repeated sentence serves as the narrator's reflection of how her mind worked when close with nature, vanishing over and over into the earth. The interpretations of the last line vary. By morning, I had vanished at least a dozen times into something better. It contrasts with the previous sentences and indicates a shift in time or in thought. To some, the poem is simply about camping in the forest and experiencing nature at its fullest. But to others, the poem is about death and the afterlife, returning back to the nurturing, remembering Mother Earth. The last line provides the narrator's concluding thoughts on sleeping in the forest. Whether the luminous doom is from waking up from a transcending dream or facing the realities of death, being completely embraced by and becoming one with nature will always be something better.